The Discovery. Commander Elena Reyes stood at the viewport of the ESS Pathfinder, watching as the swirling gases of the Carina Nebula painted the darkness with blues and purples. Humanity had been among the stars for barely 2 decades, yet they'd already caught the attention of the Galactic Union, a coalition of 37 spacefaring species that claimed to have maintained peace across 3 spiral arms for millennia. Commander called Lieutenant Devon Park from his communication station. Another transmission from Union Ambassador Telex. They're requesting our presence at Outpost Sigma for an urgent diplomatic matter. Elena turned, her dark eyes reflecting the nebulous glow. How urgent can it be if they've been sending the same message for 3 days? They've increased the frequency, Devon replied. And they've added something new. A reference to existential threats requiring immediate unified response. Chief Science Officer Dr. Maya Wong looked up from her console. That's the 3rd Union species using that exact phrasing this week. The Valen used it in their communication with the Jakarta outpost, and the Scythians said the same to our Mars embassy. Elena nodded slowly. In her 10 years commanding exploration vessels, she'd developed an instinct for trouble. The Union's sudden interest in Earth felt wrong. Too eager, too insistent. "Tell them we'll arrive in 48 hours, she said. That's 16 hours later than their requested time frame, Devon noted. I know, Elena replied. I want to make a stop first. The Pathfinder altered course, heading not toward Outpost Sigma, but to Proxima Centauri IV, a small rocky planet where humanity had established its first extrasolar research station. Dr. Elias Chen, Elena's former academy professor and Earth's leading xenolinguist, had been studying patterns in Union communications for years. When Elena's team arrived at the research station, Chen greeted them with troubled eyes. I've been expecting you, he said, leading them through sterile corridors to his cramped office. The Union's sudden courtship of Earth isn't as flattering as our politicians believe. Chen activated a holographic display showing communication patterns between Union species. There's a linguistic algorithm I discovered, what they say in formal communications versus what they say to each other. The translation matrices they provided us have subtle manipulations. Manipulations? Elena asked. When they talk about strategic partnerships with us, their internal communications used phrases that more accurately translate to expendable assets or containment barriers, Chen explained. I've been collecting these discrepancies for months. Maya studied the data. This could just be cultural differences in metaphor usage. Chen shook his head. I thought so too, until I found these. He brought up historical archives of species that had joined the Union over the past 3 centuries. The Talaxians, the Mebari Collective, the Jin Confederacy, all were welcomed as valued allies in the fight against various threats. All suffered catastrophic losses within decades of joining. The room fell silent as the implications settled over them. The Union sets up newcomers as cannon fodder, Elena said finally. I believe so, Chen confirmed. And now they've set their sights on us. Devon leaned forward. Why would an advanced alliance need to sacrifice other species? What are they really fighting? Chen's expression darkened. That's where things get troubling. I don't think there is an external enemy. At least, not a natural one. He displayed another set of files, heavily encrypted Union research documents that had taken him years to decode. The technical language was complex, but the images were unmistakable. Laboratory settings, genetic sequences, weapon specifications. The Void Eaters, they're warning us about. Chen said, I believe they're engineered biological weapons. The Union creates the threat, then recruits new species to fight it, positioning them to absorb the casualties while never explaining the true nature of the enemy. Elena felt cold anger building inside her. They're culling potential competitors before we can develop enough to challenge them. Precisely, Chen nodded. They've been doing this for thousands of years. Any species showing unusual technological growth or adaptive capabilities becomes a target. Elena paced the small office. We need proof. Something concrete we can take back to Earth. Our politicians are already halfway to signing whatever agreement the Union puts in front of them. There might be a way, Chen said hesitantly. 17 light-years from here is a system the Union quarantined centuries ago. They claim it harbors a deadly pathogen, but my analysis suggests it was home to an advanced civilization that may have discovered the Union's pattern. The Pathfinder has stealth capabilities, Elena said, decision made. We'll investigate this quarantine system before meeting the Union representatives. 2 days later, the Pathfinder arrived at the edge of the forbidden system. Scans showed a dead world, once Earth-like, now barren, orbiting a yellow star. No signs of active pathogens, Maya reported after careful analysis. But I'm detecting massive radiation signatures consistent with orbital bombardment approximately 800 years ago. Elena ordered a small team to the surface. What they found chilled them to the core. Ruins of a civilization that had clearly been systematically destroyed. In what appeared to be a hardened scientific bunker, they discovered data crystals that had survived the destruction. Back aboard the Pathfinder, they decoded the crystals with Chen's algorithms. The contents confirmed their worst fears, detailed records from a species called the Aeriths, documenting how they had discovered the Union's pattern of engineered threats and selective extinction. The Aeriths had attempted to warn other species, only to be declared infected and subsequently sterilized by Union fleets. This is it, Elena said grimly, the evidence we need. But as they prepared to return to Earth, long-range sensors detected Union vessels entering the system. They're scanning for us, Devon reported. I'm intercepting communications. They're designating us as contaminated assets. Elena made an immediate decision. We need to split up. Maya, take half the team and the original data crystals back to Earth in our shuttle. It has enough stealth capability to slip past them. The Pathfinder will create a diversion. Commander, the shuttle's chances of reaching Earth, Maya began, are better than if we all stay together. Elena interrupted. Earth needs this information. We'll follow our original plan and meet the Union at Outpost Sigma as if nothing happened. We just need to play along long enough for you to reach home. As the shuttle detached silently from the Pathfinder's ventral bay, Elena prepared to face the Union representatives with a smile on her face and fury in her heart. Humanity had been slated for extinction, but if she had anything to say about it, the hunters would soon become the hunted. The Pathfinder arrived at Outpost Sigma precisely on schedule. The station hung in space like a gleaming silver flower, its petals extending toward the stars. Union ships of various designs patrolled its perimeter, sleek, powerful vessels that made Earth's best technology look primitive by comparison. Ambassador Telix greeted Elena's team in the station's grand reception hall. The Meribian diplomat's translucent skin, pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, the humans had been told indicated pleasure and welcome. Now, with Chen's revised translations, Elena recognized the subtle signals of anticipation and calculation. Commander Reyes, Telix's voice resonated melodiously through the translator. We are grateful for your presence during this time of galactic crisis. The Union Council awaits your report on human military capabilities. Elena smiled politely, forcing warmth into her expression. We're honored to be considered for partnership with such an esteemed alliance. For hours, she sat through briefings about the threat of the Void Eaters, watching recordings of shadowy entities that consumed everything in their path. With each presentation, she noted the careful manipulation, the strategic omissions, the subtle guidance toward a predetermined conclusion. Earth's forces would serve as the first line of defense, while Union ships provided critical support from safer positions. When Telix presented Elena with preliminary deployment strategies placing human ships directly in the projected path of the Void Eaters, she maintained her composure with military discipline. These proposals will require careful consideration from Earth's Defense Council, she said evenly. Time is of the essence, Commander, Telix responded, inner lights pulsing urgently. The threat advances. We offer you advanced shield technologies to improve your vessel's survival chances. Technologies that, according to the Aerith records, included hidden backdoor controls and deliberate vulnerabilities. We appreciate the Union's generosity, Elena replied. But we mustn't rush such important decisions. That night, in her assigned quarters, Elena received an encrypted transmission from Maya. The shuttle had successfully reached Earth, and the evidence was being reviewed by select military leaders. But convincing Earth's unified government to reject the Union's seemingly benevolent offer would take time they might not have. Elena needed to buy that time. The next morning, she requested a direct observation of the Void Eaters. If I'm to advocate for this alliance to my superiors, she explained, first-hand knowledge would be invaluable. Telix hesitated before agreeing. There is a containment facility 3 light hours from here. We can arrange transport. The containment facility turned out to be a massive space station with multiple secured laboratories. As Elena and her small team were guided through sterile corridors, she discreetly activated the scanner hidden in her uniform insignia, collecting data on everything they passed. These specimens were captured during the most recent incursion, the Scythian scientist explained, leading them to an observation chamber. Through reinforced transparent barriers, Elena saw them, the Void Eaters. They appeared as shifting masses of darkness that seemed to bend light around them. As she watched, one extended a tendril toward a piece of equipment placed in its chamber. The metal disintegrated upon contact. Remarkable, Elena said, masking her horror. How do they originate? The scientist's compound eyes flickered. They emerge from the spaces between galaxies. Beyond that, their nature remains mysterious even to our most advanced research. But Elena's scanner told a different story. Behind the public laboratory was another facility, one with genetic sequencing equipment, growth chambers, and control mechanisms designed to direct the Void Eaters' movements. The creatures weren't natural phenomena. They were weapons being grown and programmed. As they prepared to leave, an alarm suddenly blared through the facility. "Security breach in Section 7, announced an automated voice. Unauthorized data access detected. Elena's blood ran cold as the Scythian scientist stared at her with sudden suspicion. "Commander Reyes," he said slowly, "please surrender your scanning devices." Instead, Elena signaled her team. In practiced synchronization, they activated the prototype phase shift devices they'd kept hidden. Technology developed in secret by Earth's scientists, allowing them to move slightly out of alignment with normal spacetime for brief periods. To the Union security forces converging on their position, they seemed to shimmer and vanish. "Move," Elena ordered as they ran through startled Union personnel, temporarily intangible but still visible as ghostly outlines. They reached their shuttle just as the phase shift began to fail. As Union security vessels moved to intercept them, Elena's pilot executed a desperate maneuver, skimming the station's outer ring to use its mass as a shield before jumping to FTL. "They'll be after us," Devon said as stars streaked past the viewport, "and they'll know Earth is aware of their plans." Elena nodded grimly. "Then we'd better hope Maya's mission succeeded, because the timetable just accelerated." She stared into the blur of hyperspace, knowing that the future of humanity now depended on a race between Union forces and Earth's ability to prepare for a war they never wanted, against an enemy that had been culling promising species for millennia. The Reckoning. 3 months after their narrow escape from the Union research facility, Elena stood before Earth's United Defense Council in the underground complex beneath the Himalayas. The chamber buzzed with tension as military and political leaders from every nation debated humanity's response to the Union's betrayal. "The evidence is irrefutable," General Samira Kauri, head of Earth's Space Defense Force, was saying. "The Aerith records match perfectly with the data Commander Reyes obtained from the research station. The Union creates these Void Eaters to eliminate potential competitors. Yet they've offered us shield technology, weapon systems, FTL upgrades," countered diplomat Haruki Tanaka. "If their intent is our destruction, Why improve our capabilities? Elena stepped forward. The technology they offer contains backdoors and vulnerabilities. The shields fail at specific frequencies. The weapons drain excessive power during sustained use, and the FTL systems broadcast location data they can track. They're not improving our capabilities. They're ensuring our defeat. The debate continued for hours until Admiral Wyzon, the most decorated officer in Earth's fleet, silenced the room with a raised hand. What matters now is not assigning blame but determining our response, he said. The Union believes us to be primitive and predictable. That is our advantage. Dr. Chen, please update us on Project Prometheus. Elias Chen activated a holographic display showing a complex technological schematic. Thanks to the data from Commander Ray's mission, we've made significant breakthroughs. Dr. Marcus Chen will explain. Marcus Chen, Elias's son and Earth's foremost quantum physicist, stepped to the center of the chamber. In his late 30s, with intense eyes and unruly black hair, he looked more like a university student than the architect of humanity's most advanced defense system. The Union's technology is based on conventional physics. Advanced, yes, but fundamentally predictable, Marcus explained. Our approach exploits quantum principles they've overlooked. He demonstrated a device that looked deceptively simple, a small cube of seemingly ordinary metal. This quantum displacement field generator creates a localized bubble where the laws of physics operate slightly differently than in surrounding space, he continued. Within this field, Union weapons are drastically less effective, and their sensors cannot accurately track our movements. How quickly can we deploy this technology? Admiral Zhang asked. We've already retrofitted 30% of our fleet, Marcus replied. Within 2 months, all major Earth vessels will be equipped. The Union expects us to position our forces according to their strategic plan within 3 weeks, Elena noted. They're growing suspicious of our delays. General Carey stood. Then we implement Operation Phoenix immediately. Commander Rice, you'll lead the mission. The plan was audacious. While Earth would appear to comply with Union deployment strategies, positioning ships were directed. Those vessels would be minimally crewed decoys. The real fleet, equipped with Chen's technology, would gather in secret locations, preparing for a coordinated strike. But humanity wouldn't fight alone. Using the Aerith communications protocols, Earth had made contact with other species that had discovered the Union's pattern but lacked the strength to resist. The Doralan, insectoid beings from a heavy gravity world. The Vesh, aquatic sentients with unprecedented bioengineering skill. The remnants of the Kaldari, who had lost 90% of their population to mysterious cosmic phenomena after declining Union membership. Together, they formed the Alliance of Free Species, united by the determination to end the Union's reign of selective extinction. As preparations accelerated, Elena found Marcus Chen working alone in his laboratory beneath Lake Geneva, fine-tuning the displacement generators. Will it be enough? She asked quietly. Marcus looked up, dark circles under his eyes testifying to countless sleepless nights. Technologically, yes. We can counter their weapons, their shields, even redirect their engineered void eaters against them. But the Union has been doing this for thousands of years. They've eliminated dozens of species that thought they could fight back. What makes us different? Marcus's tired face showed a hint of a smile. Humans are stubborn. When the Union studies species for potential threats, they look for technological innovation, resource utilization, territorial expansion. But they've never properly accounted for sheer bloody-minded determination. Elena laughed despite the gravity of their situation. Is that the scientific assessment? It is. Marcus nodded seriously. The Union believes all rational beings follow predictable patterns of self-preservation. They've never encountered a species willing to risk everything on principles. 2 weeks later, Elena stood on the bridge of the ESS Defiance, Earth's newest and most advanced vessel, hidden in the shadow of a rogue planet drifting between stars. Around them gathered the true fleet of humanity, 173 warships equipped with quantum displacement technology and crewed by volunteers who understood the mission's stakes. Transmission from Earth, Lieutenant Commander Park reported. The decoy fleet has taken position as directed by Union Command. Union representatives expressed satisfaction with humanity's cooperation. And our allies? Elena asked. The Dorlan and Vesh fleets are in position. The Kaldari have infiltrated the Union communications hub on Nexus 9. Elena took a deep breath. Initiate Operation Phoenix. Across 3 sectors of space, the hidden fleets of the Alliance activated their engines simultaneously. They traveled not through conventional FTL routes that the Union monitored, but through quantum-displaced corridors that rendered them virtually invisible to standard detection methods. Their first targets were not the Union's military installations, but their bioweapon facilities, the laboratories where Void Eaters were engineered and controlled. Strike teams composed of mixed species specialists infiltrated 17 research stations within the first hour, securing data and neutralizing the threat before the Union realized they were under attack. On the Union's capital world of Nexus Prime, High Counselor Telix was presiding over the annual Galactic Recognition Ceremony when the Chamber's communications suddenly failed. The ornate displays meant to showcase Union achievements flickered and changed, now showing recorded evidence of their biological weapons programs, their systematic destruction of promising species, their millennia of manipulation and genocide. The same evidence was broadcasting across every Union world and outpost, transmitted through their own communication network by Kaldari infiltrators. Telix's inner lights flashed in patterns indicating extreme distress as Union security forces reported simultaneous attacks across their territory. Before he could issue commands, the chamber doors opened to admit Elena Reyes and Marcus Chen, accompanied by representatives from each Alliance species. What is the meaning of this? Telix demanded, bioluminescence pulsing with rage. Justice, Elena replied simply. For the Eriths, for the Talaxians, for every species you've sacrificed to maintain your dominance. You primitive fools, Telix hissed, abandoning diplomatic pretense. The Union maintains order across thousands of worlds. We eliminate threats before they arise. Without us, the galaxy would descend into chaos and war. That's not your decision to make, Marcus said, stepping forward with a quantum displacement generator. No species has the right to determine which others deserve to exist. As they spoke, throughout Union space, Alliance forces were implementing the final phase of Operation Phoenix. The displacement generators weren't being used as weapons. Instead, they created fields around key Union worlds, placing them in a state of semi-phase that prevented them from communicating with or physically affecting the rest of the galaxy. You cannot contain us, Telix said, voice distorted as the field activated around Nexus Prime. We have existed for 30,000 years. We will escape and retaliate. Perhaps, Elena acknowledged. But by then, the truth will have spread to every corner of the galaxy. The species you've manipulated and exploited will know what you've done, and they'll be waiting. As Nexus Prime shifted partially out of phase with normal spacetime, Elena and her team departed. The Union wasn't destroyed. Humanity and its allies had rejected genocide, even against those who had practiced it. But their power was broken, their leadership isolated, their secrets exposed to the hundreds of species they had manipulated. 6 months later, representatives from 43 former Union client species gathered on Earth to formalize the new Galactic Cooperative. Unlike the hierarchical structure of the Union, the cooperative operated on principles of equal representation and transparent governance. Elena watched from the observation deck of the repurposed Union station now orbiting Earth as ships of diverse designs arrived for the historic gathering. Do you think it will last? Marcus asked, joining her at the viewport. Nothing lasts forever, Elena replied. But we've given it the foundation the Union never had: honesty. Each member knows the other's strengths and weaknesses, fears and hopes. Marcus smiled. The Union never understood that diversity is strength, not a threat to be eliminated. That was their fundamental error, Elena agreed. They saw other species' potential as competition rather than contribution. Below them, Earth gleamed blue and green, no longer an isolated world marked for extinction, but the birthplace of a new galactic order built on cooperation rather than control. The future remained uncertain, as all futures must, but for the first time in millennia, it would be determined not by the calculations of ancient manipulators, but by the collective choices of free species. Humanity had not merely survived the Union's betrayal, they had transformed it into an opportunity for something better. And in doing so, they had confirmed what the Union had feared all along, that some potential is too valuable to be eliminated, some spirits too resilient to be broken, and some species too stubborn to know when they're supposed to lose. The stars beckoned with new promise, and humanity answered not with fear or aggression, but with outstretched hands and the simple, powerful warning to all who would follow the Union's path. Choose cooperation over domination, or face the consequences of awakening humanity's protective fury. For the galaxy had learned what the Union discovered too late, that humans weren't just another species to be manipulated and discarded. They were the ones who changed the rules.